In this installment of EFI Airhead, we're going to put the fuel pump in the tank. So this is the fuel pump I'm going to be using. It's out of a Ducati 696 Monster, like I said in the previous video. It's quite a nice piece. Part of the reason why I wanted to go with a motorcycle fuel pump, EFI fuel pump that is just because they're integrated into one nice unit like this, you know. So it's got an O-ring seal here, so it's nice and easy to mount. You know, like the pattern for the flange and everything's okay. Of course, they're relatively small form factor, so it's easy to put into a fuel tank because that's what they're designed to go into. Regulated, everything, fuel filter, even a fuel level gauge. So like that will be a nice touch on the BMW if I can implement that through the ECU. But yeah, basically it's just a real nice piece. And the thing is, of course, when I was looking for fuel pumps before I settled on this one, is no one really gives you the measurements because they don't expect you to be doing things like this. So I found it quite difficult to try and decide on what was actually going to work. And to be honest, I made a bit of a gamble. This was an eBay purchase. It looked about right, but of course, if you're looking for a fuel pump for a Ducati 696, you don't need to know what the measurements are because you probably own a Ducati 696 Monster. So that's always one bit of the challenge, but it's also part of the fun, you know. It can get expensive, of course, if you buy parts and they don't fit, and we try and avoid that as much as possible, but you know, sometimes it does happen. The other part that we've got here is the mount that I made. I made this after work one night this week, and I just used a CNC plasma cutter and I cut out this flange. I just drew it up in AutoCAD, and then yeah, I just welded on this so that I can French it into the bottom of the tank just to try and keep everything a little bit nice looking, and just basically keep it tidy, make it look so you can't even tell. Like, that's my plan at least. Yeah, so I mean, that's where we're at. Aside from that, the fuel tank, it's as it is. I've flushed it with water. I even did a bit of a controlled burn on it. I mean, I'm pretty sketched out about welding fuel tanks. I don't really like doing it, and I don't think anyone really likes doing it. But what you can do, and what I usually do when I weld a fuel tank, is like drain it as best as you can, flush it with heaps of water. Like I had this sitting outside for half an hour with the hose running through it, you know, and like, yeah, the rainbows were coming out even at the end, you know, so I knew that there was still going to be a little bit of something in there. And so I just basically from a bit of a safe distance, I can torched it with the brake clean and the LIDA, and yeah, of course it went woomph like they always do, but I let it just sit there and like burn away for a while, and it's completely burnt out all the gas in it now, so that's kind of nice. And of course, like, that's outside, and I took all the like proper safety precautions just so that like when I'm welding it, it doesn't give me any surprises, and that's what we're really shooting for, you know. In the bottom of the fuel tank, there looks like there's going to be a nice spot just about here where I can French in the fuel pump, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. So yeah, now that the job is all done, you're looking at the photos of the finished product. So this first photo here is from the bottom, and so you can see the in and out, and obviously the wires that you have to hook up so that you can make the pump run. And the next photo is just a sort of slide up angle, so you can sort of see where it is nestled on the bike. And yeah, it's pretty clean install, really. I mean, and this is a photo here of it from the side, so you can see obviously it's been modified a little bit. You're missing the swedge line, or like the seam. Obviously I had to cut that out to get it to be put like in there and everything, but you can't really tell. And my plan is to paint the tank black anyway, so I mean, I think it's going to be pretty inconspicuous, or at least just as inconspicuous as the throttle bodies instead of the carburetors. So I mean, it's going to be obvious that the bike's been modified, but I mean, I'm not too worried about that. So yeah, so I think 10 litres of fuel in it, and it hasn't leaked a drop since I did the work. So I mean, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. So yeah, there you go. Wait for the next installment.